Hey guys, Dane Camella back again. It's been some time. It's been 4 months since my last video. We are more than halfway through the year in 2020, and there's a lot of different things to talk about. I'm sure you can understand that with what is going on in the world, the virus, etc., etc. A lot of crazy stuff going on. First and foremost, thank you for tuning into this video. I'll try and make it as quick as I can. There's a lot to talk about since I've been absent from my YouTube channel, and I'll talk about that and why I've been absent and some of the things that have happened in my career, because this is a journey type channel where I kind of share things that are going on in my life as well as things I learn along the way that hopefully can help inspire you in some way or another. If not, no worries, but appreciate you being here. If you're a subscriber, that means a lot. I know we don't have too many subscribers, and I've been doing this channel for a long time, but it's been such a privilege to be able to create content and look back over the years and years and years of doing this and see how it's helped me in my career and just develop different types of skills. So thank you for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't. Give this video a thumbs up. I guess that's what people do these days on YouTube, and I hope it's not too much of a distraction with the microphone here, but it helps make the sound a little bit better. And if I can make the sound a little bit better, then I'm going to do that. So today is, what is today? Today's February 25th, I believe. And again, it's been 4 months since my last video. My last video was a book review because I started doing a book review series that I started publishing on YouTube at the beginning of the year, as well as on the podcast Young, Wild, and Rich. If you haven't checked that out, that's where I make a lot of content, more consistent content, even though I've slipped since the beginning of the year there as well. Podcast released this week if you want to check it out. It's Young, Wild, and Rich. I wanted to think of a unique name, and you can always, if you're driving in your car and maybe you're not doing that so much today because of what's going on in the world, you can listen in when you have some time. So thank you again for tuning in. I'm going to give you guys just a quick recap of everything that's kind of gone on in my world, and then talk about what I want to do going forward with this YouTube channel. I know this YouTube channel doesn't really have structure to it as much as what's going on, updating you guys. It's a video diary, if you will, of my life and just some of the things that I've been interested in over the years. So we'll jump right in. Okay, it's January, if we're going back a little bit, and the year's getting kicked off. I'm super excited. I made that video in January about 2020 goal setting and stuff like that, and some of the things I wanted to accomplish. And it's interesting looking back because things have taken a turn, if you will, with what's going on in the world. And I hope you guys are staying safe. Hope you're wearing masks, doing whatever you need to do to protect yourself so you don't get infected, and also making sure you stay in. I feel like I have to say that because it's important. And I live in Arizona, and Arizona has become one of the worst states for the virus in terms of the amount of cases that have come up, just because we were one of the first states to open up. So we're seeing the result of being able to open up and let people congregate and party. And there's a lot of young people here in Old Town Scottsdale where I live, and people I know have been affected by the virus in some way or another. So hope you're staying safe. So in the beginning of January, we were all excited about 2020. Stock market was doing better than it's ever done. And then as we got into February and March, this virus started happening and changing a lot of things for everyone. I've been working from home personally since, I'd say, end of March, and it's June now, and we're still working from home. And then something else happened as well. The company I work for, Emailage Fraud Prevention Company, amazing company I've been working for about 3 years, we got acquired by a massive organization in the technology space. And if you want to look it up, you can go on Google and say Emailage acquisition and find out all the details. I won't go into all of that, but I've always been a proponent of working for technology companies. I mean, you can go back 4 years and look at some of the YouTube videos when I joined my first startup, ZenReach. Such a good experience learning to be in an inside sales role, selling software as a service. And that was something that was truly interesting to me and something I'm still in today, outside of my first passion, which was health and fitness. So being able to be a part of a startup was so fun in ZenReach, and being around a lot of young, like-minded people who were trying to innovate and do things creatively. And that's why I'm always passionate about working for startups, because it doesn't feel like a job. You're constantly working to hit goals and work with smart people, and it's not old and slow, if you will, if you're thinking about like a big company. So Moving over to Emailage was also exciting too, because we were doing really interesting things in the fraud space around the email address and innovating on a industry that is a very, very big challenge in the world. If you think about fraud and you think about all the things that happen with theft online when people are making transactions, signing up for accounts, you hear about these companies having massive data breaches, and that data is then used to go steal from other companies because people are posing as the person that they stole the information from. So fraud is a billion-dollar problem, and online cybersecurity and theft is a billion-dollar problem as well. It's billions and billions of dollars of problem, challenges and problems a year that these companies face. So being able to be in the space, but also be with a company that was doing something unique in the space and different, was super exciting. And it had a lot of challenges that came with it. I did so many different roles within the organization, and that's what you get when you join a startup. It's not a straight path with a clear defined path to your next step and your next step and your next step. But what I will say about working for a startup, and I will make another video, that's something I've been wanting to do, is talk about specifically the benefits of working for a startup versus working for a bigger company, especially when you're in your 20s and you're coming out of college. I think it's one of the best things that you can do as an individual is actually work for a startup, because the accelerated growth and learning that you get doing things very quickly and rapidly and continuing to innovate and scale and join and like hire and have so many more people around you is invaluable in my opinion. And then also getting a benefit of the upside when you join a startup. Some startups, not all startups, but it depends on the life cycle of where that startup is in regards to when it started, gives you the ability to benefit in the success of the company in the form of shares. And I had that opportunity at ZenReach, and I still have those shares after leaving the company, because I was at the company for over a year, and then being at Emailage, I was given shares at that company too. And we ended up selling, so I was able to benefit from the selling of the company, which is great because you all have a focused effort on the success of the company outside of just getting a paycheck, which is great. If you do join a startup in your early 20s, you can compound the amount of income you can make given the company does really well and potentially sells, which happened with Emailage right before the virus got really crazy. So it was really fortunate for the company and the employees, myself included, because after the virus happened, I don't know if I would still have a job. They could have decided to let some people go. But when you're in a software company and you're attached to revenue, that's always something good, because revenue is the lifeblood of any organization. So we got acquired. The company that acquired us is an amazing company, and they were great from day one, just communicating, hey, this is what's happening going forward. Continue to do your job. Let's slowly integrate you guys into our systems. And that was kind of going forward as the next step. And they adjusted very well to this pandemic that arose and didn't let anyone go in the organization, which is amazing. I can't say the same would have happened just because we were a smaller company and we had to be nimble in our processes so we could continue to be efficient and successful. And over the last year before we got acquired, we had hired 50% more people at the company. So when you do that in such a fast period of time, and then something like the pandemic happens, you have to innovate and figure out. But I think a lot of software companies have seen a lot of success still within this time, and Emailage specifically has. So maybe we would have kept everyone around, but it was a perfect timing. And I had just gotten back from a trip to New York and Boston in the first week of March when all of this stuff was starting in New York and Boston. Washington was starting to spike up as well too. So I got out with my colleagues right before all this stuff happened, which was crazy. So that happened. We got acquired. The company kept everyone on board, and that's still the case today as I'm making this video. And then we decided to continue to move forward in the integration. One thing of why I haven't made a lot of content, and I shared this in the podcast, was during uncertain times and challenges and a lot of fear goes on in the world, especially with something like this that I've never been a part of in my 28 years living, seeing this type of pandemic arise, and then also having a shutdown where we literally shut the country down and we made everyone stay at home. This has never happened, and there was so much uncertainty in me. I'm such a routine person, so my work routine, my personal routine got completely flipped upside down. I'll be honest with you guys, my work ethic, my motivation, my creativity, all was affected from this pandemic that happened, and it took me a while to kind of get back to my routine. And again, it's different for everyone. It affect like something like this, something that affects the country or the globe in the way that it did affects everyone mentally in some way or another. I'm an extroverted person. I like going out and meeting people, and not being able to do that had an effect on me mentally. And I just wasn't the same for a while. And it took me some time to adjust to this new world that we live in, because we're not going back in regards to how we work today, because so many companies have adapted and created new policies and procedures on how to best effectively communicate with clients, employees, to keep everyone safe under the circumstances that we live within. So many companies have adapted to being able to work from home, which is great because it gives you the ability to work from anywhere in the world, depending on obviously the job that you do. So that was really good, and we're going to continue to adapt, and I've adapted now. It's been a few months, so I've had to adapt, and I'm back into my flow. I'm creating more content. This video is coming out to you now, and I'm excited to continue to move forward with the podcast and YouTube, as well as be a part of this new organization. And another thing on top of my lack of creating content and just the uncertainty in my job, I didn't know what I was necessarily going to do within the new company that acquired us. The role that I sit within after we got acquired doesn't exist within the new company. And that's something that arises on everyone's mind when you get acquired from a company is, are they going to let anyone go? What's the next step? What do I do from here? A lot of questions that any young professional might ask themselves when something like an acquisition happens and you're bought by a company that's a lot bigger, has a lot more infrastructure, has a lot more support, and a lot more process, procedure, and paths to keeping the employees around for years and years and years, because a lot of the members of this company have been there for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years at the same company. And it's very different to me because I've always liked working for smaller companies. It's the first big company I'm going to be a part of. And a lot of my conversations between myself during this time and colleagues was, what am I going to do here? And me, I'm a certainty type of person. I like knowing what's next, and I like controlling my career, because career is such a long part of your day, and your time is spent on your career. And that's what I always like to talk about too, is finding a career that gives you purpose, passion, and fulfillment. You want to do something that aligns with your strengths so you can succeed and get better, and then be able to share that and work your way up to making more money, impacting more people, being a leader if that's something that you want to do around the company that you work for, and then continuing to move from company to company if that's something you do. I know millennials, I think millennials will work 24 to 29 different jobs in their lifetime, which is crazy. So we like a lot of difference. We like to grow. We like to do a lot of things different than, let's say, the older generation. So that was a thing that was kind of messing with my mind during this time, and why I took a step back from creating content. I mean, I wasn't even posting anything really on social media. I wasn't depressed or anything. I was just uncertain. And when you're uncertain, it prevents you from acting. At least that's my experience. It prevented me from taking extra actions outside of the things that I was trying to control. And the things that I was trying to control were keeping my health and my mental stability as good as I could. So doing the routines, the things that I could control, spending time with my family and loved ones and close friends and colleagues to make sure they're good, because again, this affects everyone. And then third was trying to stabilize my career and figure out what's next, because again, I love to know what's next. I love to control my destiny, especially because career is such a big portion of my life, and it might be for you too if you're a young professional listening into this. So that took a lot of time, and I was fortunate enough, and I'll share this with you today, that I was able to actually secure a position within the new company that purchased us. And that happened actually at the end of May. And I started in a new position in the beginning of June. So what has been taking place over this month in June, as this video is live, is I've been transitioning out of my role and all the clients that I work with to then start getting integrated into the new role that I'm going to be doing with the company that acquired us. And I'll make another video going deeper into the new role, things of that nature, kind of my thoughts as I get into it, because I'm so early into the career, into the new role, and just getting onboarded and ramped and trained and all those other things. And it's actually a good time to do that, because can't really do much right now going on. I mean, you can go out, but you're also taking a risk. So that's what's happened. I'm extremely excited to be able to solidify a position and understand now what my new career looks like. And I'm really excited to be able to share this journey with you guys too, because I've always been a proponent of working for smaller companies because the flexibility, the innovative collaboration, the young people in a company, that's been super exciting to do. And now the next step in my career journey, if you will, outside of personal and stuff like this that I do, is get to understand what it's like working for a big company and being able to become a top performer in that big company, be able to set new goals, be able to collaborate with all the individuals, because this company is global. People are all over the world. A lot of the people for this company work remotely too in the territories, which is exciting. So I'll be working in the Arizona territory for my role, which is awesome. And again, I will share this whole journey with you, what it's like working for a massive organization versus a small organization. I'll be able to take all those learnings and share that with you guys, and what I learn and what's good, what's not, the pros, the cons. But what's really cool about working for a bigger company is there's so many resources, there's so much training, there's so many things that you can do, because I'll be able to work on potentially creating a young professional group within the organization here in Arizona, where the office was that emailage was at, because they have groups like that within the company. That's very cool, and something that you might not be able to be a part of if you're working for a smaller company. They might not have all the resources. They might be a little thin in those areas that you might want to explore, if that makes more sense to you as a young professional. So there's pros and cons on both sides, and I'd love to dive into this deeper as I begin to learn about this new experience and this new journey. So it's extremely exciting. Another thing I'll talk about to take a pivot, because I wanted to give you guys a career update and some of the reasons why I haven't been making so much content. But another thing that I've been thinking about is I'm going to stop doing the book reviews. I've read about 10 books this year. I know it was a book a week series, 52 books a year. There's so much going on with work. It's so much study because there's so many products, and again, I'll go into that in a future date. So I'm going to take a step back from doing all the book reviews. There's only so much content I can create. It was fun. I learned a lot from it. And again, the pandemic and all the things that have happened over the last few months gave me a lot of time to reflect on what I want to do and figure out what's next for the career. So I've been able to figure out some of those things and now just readjust, take a step back, recalibrate. If you know Jocko, he likes to say that, Jocko Willick, shout out Jocko, and figure out what kind of content I want to create. So now going forward with Young, Wild, and Rich, or should I say this YouTube channel? Sorry. See, I'm in two different modes. I'm making YouTube content like now, but I'm also making podcast content. So going forward, I'm going to be sharing a lot of the journey of working for a big company as much as I can. I want to share what I learn. I want to share just the different things that I'm involved in. And then I'll also continue to share with you guys some of the stuff I do outside of work with the podcast, who I'm meeting, connections, things like that. I think that's really beneficial for young professionals. If you're not someone who's constantly trying to get better in your job or meet new people, you got to. It's so helpful to your career. I mean, just all the connections I've made in my young professional career that I've had has helped me so much in so many other ways. So I'll continue to share stuff that I'm doing outside of work, but I really want to go deep in but sharing my experience working for smaller companies, the benefits there, and then all my learnings going forward working for a bigger company, and then talking about how I set goals, how I try to navigate the organization, how I try to get up to speed quickly so I can become a top contributor in the organization and be recognized for that, so I can move myself up and become better and have the opportunity to take on more responsibilities and become a leader. I think becoming a leader is such an amazing thing that someone can do who's young in an organization that has a lot of older people in it too. So you can contribute and you can bring your innovative ideas that may be a little bit different, outside of the box thinking from a startup scene into a bigger company that maybe has a different way of doing things. So that's the plan going forward. I'd love to hear from you guys. What would you like to see out of this YouTube channel? What would you like to learn from some of the things I've shared with you, whether it's startup lifestyle, because I've been a part of startups for now over 4 years. What do you want to learn about bigger companies? What's your experience been like? Leave a comment below. I'd love to know. I'm always open to connecting. I try to comment on any single comment I ever get. I don't get a lot of comments, but I try and comment on every single comment. So if you have questions, put them down below. And you can also send me an email, info@youngwildandrich.com. It's all just one word. Or you can connect with me on Instagram. My personal Instagram handle is Dane Kamela, DaneKamela. And we can connect there, or you can shoot a comment below. So let's connect. Let's continue the conversation. I don't want this to be one-sided where I'm just sharing everything that I'm going through. I'd love to know what you guys are going through in your journey, where you're seeing success. How has this situation affected you? It's affected us all in some way or another. I mean, mental stability and emotional balance is so important during this time. And even someone who considers themselves very regimented and routine, I was affected by this. And I took a lot of time to reflect on that. So I'd love to know your experience with this. How did you deal with this? And did it go well? What did you learn? All those things I'd love to know. So I'll leave it there, guys. I know we're at 20 minutes. Thank you so much for listening. If you're still listening up to this point, you mean a lot to me. Subscribe if you haven't. Like this video, share it with a friend, whatever you want to do you. And I hope you guys are doing well in 2020. Keep believing. We will come out of this stronger. I truly believe that. As a country, as a world, we will come out of this stronger. That's the human spirit. That is the human spirit, to continue to grow, give, and come together. I know it's really hard to say that during this time where there seems like there's so much of a divide between both sides of political opinion, between what is right, what is wrong. And we got to take a step back and focus on what we can control and do our best to contribute as much to our society as we can. So I'll leave it there. Thank you, guys. God bless you. I hope you have an amazing year. More videos to come, and I look forward to seeing you soon in the next video. Reach out if you ever have any questions. Take care.